All right, what's up, guys? This is Jeff Gamble, Indianapolis, Indiana, and this is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. Sorry, we are a little tardy. Hope everybody had a great holiday weekend. We know we did. Take some time off. Hopefully you were able to get a snack or a meal with somebody, if your state allows it, or country, right? We're going to go ahead and invite some friends. Since I only have two friends on here. Bess and Catherine, and, whoa. There has to be a faster way to do this. Eventually, we will figure that out. So welcome, back to work. It's Tuesday, kind of feels like Monday, kind of doesn't know what day it is. I don't know, like halfway through this week it's going to feel. Getting phone calls. Today we are going over chapter of Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. Jesse and Benny and Taylor Brown, Aaron, Brandon, Ashley. Make sure everybody's here. Stacy, Zach, David B. This thing's weird. It always wants to close on me. Okay. How was your weekend? Danny's here. Hello. Good morning from Texas. So 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. And today we're on Chapter 9 of Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, grab a notebook, grab somebody to take notes for you. I don't know what your situation is, but make it happen. So here we go. I'm going to look at my notes here. Find this. I have to wait for like 10,000 emails to download, right? If your phone has been glitchy lately, it's because the new update just came out and makes your phone not work. Meaning it makes your phone not work because you haven't updated. When you update, it should work better, but kind of just as terrible as it always does, right? So we are looking for, I just sent that. Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. This is the one I'm looking for, Chapter 9, here it is. Select all, copy. I have to copy my notes, or copy from email to my notes because my phone keeps shutting off. So give me a second. Okay, we got it. So Chapter 9, how can successful people navigate leadership transition? So this is about transitioning from one leadership to another, or what John's talking about is like leaving a position, making sure that everybody kind of knows what's going on. Obviously in direct sales, that doesn't happen exactly like that. One way to look at it is transitioning from, one company to another. Sometimes, people have to do that. So this has a lot of application depending on what's going on. Sometimes it's like a new leader takes over a group or takes over a team or builds, and now all of a sudden you went from attending the big leaders meeting to a smaller person's meeting, and you're transitioning from that point. What should you do? Okay. You what?
There we go.
Oh, focusing. Okay, so how can successful leadership transition? It says some experts estimate that most Americans workers today will change jobs somewhere between 15 and 20 times in a career. I was told about every 3 to 5 years, Americans are changing jobs and careers. So what exactly does that mean? What I'm finding is the people who are transitioning, I mean, think about how do you build security? How do you build anything long-term if you're transitioning every 3 to 5 years? I mean, the people I know who get really, really good at anything, it takes them 12, 24, 36 months just to kind of get in the groove of what they're doing, to understand the ins and outs, to start building, and then you're transitioning somewhere else. So it's very hard to do that. You have to find something that's more long-term. It says, in a time of rapid change, standing still is the most dangerous course of action. A lot of people are just trying to hang out and make it. Hanging out, you won't make it. There's a saying that says, even if you're on the right track and standing still, you get ran over, and that's absolutely true. It's true in life, but I think it's even more true in business. Like, standing still doesn't work. You have to be in motion to be able to understand what direction everything's coming at you, what direction things are going. You have to kind of make adjustments and make moves along the way. Gary Vaynerchuk said this: never fall in love with the way you market. You can't fall in love with the way you market, and the reason being is that that's always changing, right? People will fall in love and be like, oh, I finally got Facebook down. I know how to market on Facebook. And then Facebook changes their algorithm, changes their application. You can't find stuff. You don't know where stuff is. So never fall in love with one way to do things. There's a bunch of people who did that. Blockbuster did that. Blockbuster found one way that they wanted to market and said, you know what, we're just going to have stores. Do you know Blockbuster had the ability to buy Redbox? Had the ability to buy Redbox, and then also passed on Netflix and said, yeah, we think people like coming to our stores. By the way, Blockbuster has one Blockbuster left, and you can rent it out like an Airbnb and bring your friends and watch movies there. It's the weirdest thing. They said, we'll let you stay here for, I can't remember, it's like $2,000 or something. And then you can bring your friends and you can pick any movie off the shelf. Well, let me give you kind of a, technology, let me give you some updates on what's going on. You can do that from your phone at any time, anywhere on the planet. So, I don't know. It's just a weird business model, right? But it's working. So, rapid change. Don't stand still. So, number one, it says, when the right time for a successful leader when is the right time for a successful leader to move on and change positions? When is that time? Here's what I was told in building, this is about MLM and building teams. The moment someone can do what you're doing at about 75% as good as you can do it, it's time to transition. Now, here's what this means. To, most of us who are kind of newer to this, your job is to go out and present to people. And you're going to go out and present to people and help those people present until they can present about 75% as good as you can. And then you're going to transfer that over to them and let them start to do it. And you're going to support them. You're going to direct them first. You're going to support them. You're going to coach them. And then you're going to delegate whatever needs done, in the organization. People come to you and say, what should I do? It's really turning around and getting them to ask the question, what should you do? And then figure it out. Good restlessness is healthy. It kind of pulls you forward towards improvement. So if you have ADHD, if you're constantly up thinking, if you're constantly wanting things to get better, it's not a bad thing. It says, consider your possibilities, weigh your risks and rewards. Are the potential rewards greater than the risks? What does that mean? When you're transitioning, when you're giving somebody else the power. Anytime you can give away the ability to present to somebody else, that means you now have the time to go bring on somebody new. So this is consistently a game of bringing on new people to grow the organization, and bringing on new people to grow the organization, and bringing on new people to grow the organization. What you're looking for is someone who stands up and stands out and says, hey, I really want to learn how this works and what to do. And then you have to figure that out. You have to figure out how you're going to do that. If you're in the right company with the right people, they probably have a training system to do that. If you do not have that, there are alternatives out there. There's all kinds of training programs. The MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show is sponsored by the MLM Millionaire Academy, which teaches the basics of how to build an organization. So there's stuff out there. We're not the only one. We just have a program that I see is focused at the newest person. It's focused at the newest person who's like, man, I'm in this. I really want to make this happen. I do not know what to do. There's nothing so advanced in what we teach that you're not going to be able to get. There's nothing so technologically savvy. There's not 6,000 other tools to buy. It's just really simple, basic stuff that you need to know how to do if you expect to build an organization and recruit people. Can you recover from the downside? It says, is what you hope to do achievable? That's a great question. Can you do this? People ask that question, can you help me? Can we do this? That's one of the things that they're trying to figure out. I know that it works for some people, but can it work for me? And how should it work for me? Tell me what to do, how to do. The most important person you'll need affirmation from when making a transition is actually yourself. John said that, and that's a quote. So, take action and move forward. Indecision and inaction are what hurt most people. I was told this in the book Think and Grow Rich. It actually talks about that unsuccessful people take forever to make a decision, and when they do, they change their mind often. Unsuccessful people, people who don't get done, they're constantly like waiting and thinking and evaluating, and what they're doing is they're trying to get 99% of the people they talk to be like, yes, that's a good idea, we'll support you. And the reality is most people don't support you. Most people don't support you on anything you do. Why would you expect them to support you on something that's different than what everybody else is doing? In action, it says successful people basically are able to make decisions quickly and change their mind very little, meaning they're not going to get off the path once they're on the path. Don't live in the what if, what if this happens, what if that happens. Don't live life to play safe. Playing it safe means, well, I don't want to start something because it might not work out. Well, what's the worst case scenario if it doesn't work out? What's the worst case scenario? I mean, you have to weigh it against what the best case scenario. If you rob a bank, you could get some money. What's the worst case scenario? You could be shot. You're probably going to get caught. You're going to go to jail. You're going to spend time. So if you manage to rob $100,000 and you're put in jail for 10 years, that's $10,000, which means you probably should have worked at McDonald's, because you could work at McDonald's or Walmart and make more than $10,000 a year. That's one of the reasons. The moral reason, that you can evaluate kind of everything based on these, what's the best case, what's the worst case scenario. Based on that, robbing banks probably isn't a real good idea, right? If you like to keep your record clean, if you like to keep your reputation clean, if you want to have character, if you want to have morals, if you want to have ethics, robbing people off the street or breaking into people's house, that's probably not the best way to do it. But people will look at a business and be like, oh, but if it doesn't work out, people might think bad things about me. I will tell you this, people probably aren't thinking about you at all. At all. Why? Because most people are thinking about themselves. Most people are internally selfish by nature. That's your basic human instinct to protect self. Self-preservation is built into your nervous system. So most people aren't thinking about you anyway. And if they are, it's probably not the best stuff that they're thinking. Why? Because people are also selfish by nature, self-indulged, so it's all about them. Isn't this nice to know first thing Tuesday morning? 3, receive affirmation from your inner circle. It says, the most important person you need affirmation from is yourself, transitioning and making a decision in yourself. Take action to move forward. Indecisive action. Okay, we said that. Don't live with what if. Why did it go down? What steps can a leader take to implement the changes that an organization needs to be successful but resist making? What steps? So we're talking about getting people from basically education mode to activity mode. How do you get people to activate? It has to be something simple. It has to be something easy. It has to be something basic. It has to be something that I find that has very little rejection to it. That's why I like text messaging. Hey, do me a favor. I'd like to share something with you, so if you run into the right person, you can refer me. It's the easiest, least invasive, and it gets very, very little rejection. You want to do things that give people positive results. That's what we're looking for. They want these positive results to come in, or positive, not even results, just a positive action coming back at them. Sure, what is it? What company? Any result that's not, oh, what are you doing now? I mean, sometimes that's even an okay question. What are you doing now? It's not a sarcastic, but you have to, there's a mind trick there that your mind goes negative right away, and you think that people are thinking negative. That's how you know that you're negative, is because every time you imagine anybody saying something, it's negative. That's actually your imagination doing that. That's not real. Unless you know some extremely negative people, and then it might be real, because some people just know negative people. All change does not represent progress, but without change, there is no progress. So just because you're doing something a little different doesn't mean you're doing it in the right way. That's where mentorship comes from. That's where leadership comes from. It says change what needs to be changed, not what's easy to change. So sometimes you're like, well, I'm going to update my flip book. I'm going to organize my desk. I'm going to organize my contacts. I'm going to alphabetize. I'm going to systematize everything. That's a change, but it's not the right change. It's not getting to the activity. Let go of yesterday so you can go to tomorrow. Communicate the message with simplicity and power. Activate belief in people. Remove barriers for people. Lead with speed. Lead with speed. It says luck follows speed. Here's what I know. Success loves speed. The slower you go, the less happens, and the slower you go, the more rejection. I'm dead serious. The slower you go. You would think as you speed up, you'd get more rejection, but you actually get less. Because once you start moving fast, people tend to almost feel, or they'll realize that you're going to make it one way or another. And once they realize you're going to make it one way or another, it's not as fun to poke at people who are moving, because then what happens is they expose themselves that they're not going anywhere. So they tend to say less. But when you're moving real slow, when you're moving real cautious, when you're like, well, I really don't know, I'm really not sure, I don't know if this would interest you, I don't know if this would be something for you, that's when you have the problems. How do I change my mindset from that of a producer to a leader? It's very simple. If you're good at production, you have to bring other people on who are good at production, and helping them learn everything that you know, so that way they can produce at the same level, if not better than you. I said this last night on our team call. I said, I know for a fact there's people on the team that are better than I am at a lot of this stuff. The question is you just have to get good at it and consistent at it, and then you'll completely pass us. I had somebody the last time I built with completely pass us. I actually had a couple people on the team completely pass us and dominate. This was in another company. They just took off. They knew what to do. They knew what to do better. And they had more, they had more of the right qualities. I might know the stuff, but they had more of the right qualities to attract the people. So go from me to we. That's the idea on the team concept. Go from me to we. We are going to make it. We are going to make this happen. We are going to help people rather than I'm going to do everything. As an entrepreneurial leader of a fast-growing organization, how do you know whether to transition your role to create structure and stability, or to hire new leaders to fulfill the new needs? So basically, this is more of a job-based question. Inside of a team or organization, what you're doing is the biggest question is, well, how do I balance training people with going and getting new people? There's two answers to that question. Number one, you need to have a system to plug people into, because you're going to need to recruit a lot of people, and a lot of those people need training. You're going to recruit a lot of people, and a lot of the new people are going to need training. You do not have the time to go down and train every single person. And in direct sales and MLM, it doesn't make sense to go hire an HR department to do that. So you put together a training system that trains the people, so that way everybody can show up at the same time and get the same information, and everybody can learn exponentially fast if everybody's at the same place at the same time learning. On top of that, you're going to find and take specific people. You're going to take specific people and take them out into the field and show them what to do. Some people have the concept and grasp this much faster than others. Some people are committed at a different level. They're like, look, I don't need to make that. I'm going to make this work. I'm on every call. I'm on every show. I'm doing the work. I'm getting you in front of people. I'm really making that effort. Those are the people that you want to lock into. Those are the people that you will answer the phone for late at night and take extra calls for and help them build and grow. And that's what a lot of people are looking for. They need that, some one-on-one time. It's great coming to the training. What the training does is weed out the people who are serious from not serious. That way, you know who to actually work with. So invite your inner circle to help you focus on your team. Your inner circle is basically anybody that's involved in your team that's, really doing well. You can invite all of them to a call and say, hey, what's going on? You guys are the ones moving. You guys are the ones showing people. What are you working on? What are you running into? Exponential growth. And sometimes that's motivating for other people to hear. focus on your energy. It says most entrepreneurial leaders don't struggle to find opportunities. They struggle to focus on the opportunity. Hello. Actually, that even sounded like John. Meaning John Maxwell. Why does this happen? Because entrepreneurial people usually have ADHD to begin with, and we're going to see opportunity consistently. The problem is focusing on the one that we're on. That's one of the most difficult parts. Enlist people to maximize and magnify your energy. Empower people who have skill and energy in the areas where you lack them. So constantly, as I was building a team, I was looking for the person who was really, really good at organizing. I was looking for the person who was really, really good at spell check. I was looking for the person who was really good at editing, because I was having to produce a lot of material in a couple of the companies I was in that were kind of newer, and we didn't have certain tools that were needed. We didn't have launch sheets and stuff like that. So I was in the business of trying to put that together. Show me the way. Yeah, absolutely. What leadership principles enable a failed leader to gain or to lead again successfully? What leadership principles enable a failed leader to lead again successfully? The principles of the 21 laws of leadership. Being out there and producing. So what happens is most time you'll lose leadership because you stop producing. When you stop producing and just tell everybody to produce, and you're trying to teach production, but you're not producing, what happens is everybody wants to go do what you're doing. Well, what you're doing is teaching, talking all the time rather than doing. So I've transitioned everything I'm doing to 100% in the field, doing what I'm talking about to be able to, so Brandy and I can recruit the most people so we can show our team, here's what to go do. We're going to focus on this. Can we sit and talk for hours and hours about recruiting? No, we're going to be recruiting. Like, if you have a call during the middle of the day to ask a question, it needs to be, hey, we're presenting to somebody, not just, hey, I have a question about nothing. All questions about, everything else going on in the business. What products do we have? How does the comp plan work? What bonuses? All of those questions need to be asked after production hours. Production hours end around 8, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's leads. Leads end about 8 o'clock. The normal person you can talk to up till about 9, unless you have some special time set with people because they stay up late or, they have their own business. I mean, there's reasons to have conversations after that time, but it just, usually that's the way it works. So evaluation. So here's some things to do. Evaluation. What went wrong? Emotional strength. Can you bounce back? Evolution. Can you make the adjustments needed? John says find a mentor. Find a mentor. Find somebody who knows how to do it and hang out with them and learn how to do it. Leadership is getting people to work for you when they're not obligated. So leadership is basically getting people to take actions when you weren't there. If you weren't there, they wouldn't have taken the action, right? So you're getting people to see it the right way. This means they have no other reason to do it but their own gain, meaning they can't get fired because, right, in direct sales you can't fire them. There's no money for showing up, just showing up. There's only money for production. So when there's only money for production, leadership becomes about, building that friendship and building that trust where people want to follow you. How do you figure that out? Well, the 21 laws of leadership. Well, what qualities do you need to have to do the 21 laws of leadership the right way? Well, there's the 21 qualities of a leader. What qualities do people want in a leader? There's 21 of them. You need to get that book by John and learn those 21 qualities and figure out what you're good at. And then you can look for that in other people. What are they good at? The ideal is you find a large group of people who are all good at different things, but all have the same value system and all want similar things. Similar things meaning I want to take care of my family. I want to do financially well. I want to be debt-free. I want to put money away. I want to be part of a greater cause than just existing and taking up space and eating Oreo cookies or whatever we all do. Excuse me. So, why do some successful leaders fail to have a successor? Meaning, why do some leaders not transfer leadership? The organization does not accept the new leader. The new leader doesn't like the organization. The new leader doesn't fit the corporate culture. The new leader fails to bring about successful changes. The old guard sabotages the efforts of the new leader, or the old leader sabotages the efforts of the new leader. So there's a lot of reasons, there's a lot of weird stuff that can go on. I've seen this happen. We've got friends that moved to another state, and they're with the same company, and they went down there and they said, hey, is there a meeting locally? Like, there needs to be a meeting here. And the old guard, meaning the people who had been there in the company for a long time, were like, well, we really don't do a meeting here. So they went to the leadership, the person who supposedly is leading the market, be like, yeah, are you guys doing a meeting? Like a Saturday regional? Regional is just a business building event that you have on a Saturday. It's like a half-day event. Guess what the leader said? Yeah, we used to, but, people don't want to travel. People, all the excuses of why you can't make it. The reality is that person just couldn't pull it off. Had all the excuses in the world. So I had this conversation with his friends. So my friends are like, well, what if we helped and organized it? Because that was one of the big things. Well, I don't have time. Okay, well, we have time. We'll organize it. Well, it's not going to work. Well, anyway, it eventually came to the point where the old guard and the old leadership, most of them decided to work against building the meeting, because what they saw was, okay, this person's coming in and willing to do it. They're willing to invest the time. They're willing to invest the money, because it costs money to run an event. You got to rent a room and do all that, and then you have to put out, information to people, and then you have to promote, and then you have to get people on the same ball. The old guard, the actual team that would have benefited the most from the meeting, worked against it. Why do people do that? Well, mainly they're insane, but it's why would people self-sabotage themselves? That happens inside of any business, any group, because what they see is they see leadership transferring. The moment somebody else stands up in front of the room and starts talking and is able to gather the crowd, leadership is very rarely given. It's very rarely given. It's usually taken. You can come in and take a marketplace. You can come in and take, the leadership of the company very easily if you go out and do the work and become productive. Because once you become a big producer, once you become a producer, you have leadership. Once you become a big producer, you get the eyes and ears of everybody in the company. Once you become a reproducer at that level, now people really start to notice and, hey, what are you doing? How's that working? And it just comes down to doing the work. It really comes down to doing the work, and doing the work consistently. So we're about to wrap up here. Find a mentor. Leadership is getting people to work for you, but not obligate. Okay. Why do successful leaders fail to have a successor? We already talked about that. I don't know why this runs backward as soon as I open it. What are the most important things a leader's transition out of a position can do to ensure the success of another person taking over the role? Plan ahead. Plan ahead. Who's going to be taking over this? I mean, if you run a market right now, you want to go build other markets. So who's taking over where you're at? Because obviously you've got to have somebody take over where you're at to be able to leave. Pick your successor. You start basically mentoring people and figure out who has what it takes. Prepare your successor. You're going to sit down and give them, here's all the little 1% things that are necessary. Take care of any unsatisfied business. Say, hey, I'm going to go do, you have to inform them, I'm not leaving forever. I'm just going over here to build in another market. Make yourself available. You can call, ask for help. How do you handle leaving and breaking the news to a great team of people who company asked you to basically lead them? So when you're going to go build into another market, you're like, guys, we need to support so-and-so. The whole idea behind this is freedom, right? So for us to move on, we have to have somebody else come in and run things. And if you beat that person up and make that person not want to do this, then obviously then you have no one but yourselves to figure this out. So it would be easier to support this person and build them up. Now here's the thing, we would like to have lots of leaders. Nobody, and I will tell you this is totally true, nobody wants to do it all. Everybody, you want to learn what to do, but nobody wants to do it all. So you constantly want to bring in other people. But even bringing in other people and organizing that takes time. 9, what should be the legacy of a successful leader? It says the legacy of a successful leader can lead basically, I can't even read. The greatest legacy a leader can leave is having developed other leaders. That's the best thing you can do. Develop other people, so when you go, there's a bunch of other people who know what to do in that marketplace, in that company, on that team. Develop them as widely and as deeply as you can, which is crazy because that's kind of the idea behind direct sales and MLM. You don't want to develop one leader per organization. You want to develop multiple leaders, as many leaders as possible in each organization, so that way when you move to the next organization to start building, you don't have to come back and put out 6,000 fires. Achievement comes to people who are able to do great things for themselves, but also for others. And that's what Joan talks about. Success comes to a person when they lead followers to do great things. So instead of just working for yourself and you being great, you're teaching other people the same thing. So that's what we have for today. Brandy, anything else?
I think that's it. You pretty much covered everything. So with that is what we have for today. If you guys would like the notes for this chapter, we're going to post them in the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group, and we're going to post them right there on the wall. And feel free to subscribe to us on YouTube. Each one of these videos is going to be uploaded to there. And with that, we will see you guys tomorrow.